Prime Ministers, Ministers, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, friends of the Arctic. Before I left for Reykjavik, I went into the Bernadotte Library, our family library at the Royal Palace in Stockholm. The library contains some 100,000 books collected by my ancestors and was founded by King Oscar II, my grandfather's grandfather's father. In his own collection of books and photographs, you can find a clear, that it really reflects his enthusiasm for Arctic research and exploration in the last decades of the 19th century. And among the projects that he sponsored was Nordenskiöld's explorations to the Russian Arctic and Greenland, as well as Fridtjof Nansen's polar journey on the ship Fram. Well, the King Oscar II, he died in 1907, but 101 years later, in June 2008, I found myself on board a large Swedish icebreaker, Oden, named after the Norse god. Together with me were Crown Prince Frederick of Denmark and Crown Prince Haakon of Norway. The three of us, we're not only colleagues, but we're also family. And we all descend from King Oscar II. Together we spent 4 days in Svalbard on board the research vessel. We visited different sites and talked and learned a lot from scientists about the worrying development in the Arctic. Up on the Zeppelin Mountain in Ny-Ålesund, we saw how forest fires in Siberia had caused measurable increase in temperature and air pollution in Svalbard, more than 2,000 kilometers away. The next year, we boarded the Danish patrol vessel Einar Mikkelsen to study the impact of climate change in Greenland and the people living there. I believe that the three of us at the time were already quite aware of the dangerous effects of climate change. But however, seeing it for myself and talking to those directly affected was a very strong emotion. It opened my eyes to the complexity, but also to the global nature of these issues. How melting glaciers in the Arctic affect people, animals, and planets all over the world, as far away as Zanzibar, Tuvalu, or Bangladesh. Yes, the Arctic is a global issue, demanding global action. And indeed, as I look out over this hall, I see delegates from all over the world. Your Excellency, Mr. Grimson, I commend you for your efforts in bringing together the world and business leaders, scientists, and other stakeholders here at the Arctic Circle Assembly. There is clearly an increase in attention for what's happening in the Arctic. Last week, Sweden, together with the European Union, hosted the first EU Arctic Forum in Umeå, in the Swedish part of the Arctic. The overarching purpose was to bring the EU to the Arctic and the Arctic to the EU. Over the course of the forum, I noticed a striking shift in language. In the morning, we were all discussing climate change. But before noon, more speakers were instead using the term climate crisis. I think that says a great deal about the gravity of the current situation. And I welcome the ambition of the European Union to take on a greater responsibility for the future of the Arctic. Ladies and gentlemen, one more thing I realized from traveling in the Arctic was that science has an absolutely crucial role. The Nordic countries are at the forefront of Arctic research and rank high on innovation. We also have a strong tradition of collaboration. And I believe that we in the Nordic family, Iceland, Denmark, Finland, Norway, and Sweden, are in an excellent position to contribute with the best of our knowledge, ideas, and new solutions. It is my hope that the Nordic countries together can be a driving force for a sustainable and peaceful development in the Arctic region. Coming generations may not have a voice or a vote, at least not yet, but we owe them to make the right decisions and to base those decisions on solid knowledge, and above all, to act accordingly. I am quite sure that the Arctic enthusiast, King Oscar, would agree, and that his namesake, my son, Prince Oscar, expects nothing less. Thank you.